Hey guys, this is yours truly coming back at you all with another one, and today I got for you that foundational build that you can start using to create your decks with that's going to keep you effective against the meta. And let's get right down to it. And first we have two Ash Blossom, two Effect Veilers, and two Ghost Ogres. The two Ash because just about every deck in the new support they get either adds a card from the deck to the hand, special summons from the deck, or sends a card from the deck to the graveyard. So having this in hand is an excellent negation to stop your opponent's combo plays from going off. Same thing with Veiler, being able to negate a monster effect. Excellent. Same thing with Ghost Ogre, being able to interact with field spell cards, face up continuous spell cards and trap cards, being able to pop them, as well as monster effects when they do activate. Excellent disruption. This is really excellent, and from the first legacy of the Duelist, when people would splash in Galaxy Soldier to make Infinity, this was excellent at popping the Galaxy Soldier and forcing your opponent to have to use an extra resource just to go into the Infinity. And we played Maxi back back then, so you'd got or would have gotten an additional draw on top of that. I feel as though they can unban Maxi now and at least have him to 1 with the amount of special summoning that's going on, so that it would actually force your opponent to put the brakes on so that you don't draw an insane amount of cards. But hey, we still have ways around it. This brain control is supposed to actually be mind control because they errated brain control's effect. That's why you see it's playable. But mind control is better because you can just target one of their monsters, take control of it, potentially use its effect, and then if you have a hand drop in hand, this is how you maximize off of your hand drops. You can summon one, take control of an opponent's monster, and then go into Anaconda out of your extra deck. Then you can use Anaconda's effect to send Super Poly to the graveyard, target one monster your opponent controls, change it to dark, and then go into your Starving Venom play. If your opponent has an additional dark monster in play, you can then go into the Predator plant that requires 3. So now you can fuse your 1 Anaconda with potentially 1 or 2 of your opponent's monsters. Then next I recommend 3 Dark Ruler No More, simply because the meta is heavy monster effect and spell card play, so you know your opponent is coming to the board with a lot of monster effects, so you want to be able to stand a fighting chance if you are going second. Because of the speed of the meta, I always recommend that you go first, but in the likely event that you're going second, I do recommend Dark Ruler No More at 3, so that you can be able to negate all of those monster effects and actually be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh that turn. 1 Lightning Storm, 1 Regeki, and 2 Twin Twisters. You need your 2 outs. You can alternate with Lightning Storm to either destroy all attack position monsters or destroy all spell and trap cards your opponent controls. And then you're going to need a double out for that back row. Your Super Poly, so that even if your opponent has a decent board, if they have dark monsters on board, Super Poly can't be or have effects activated in response to its effects. So if they have dark monsters, you can then fuse them and get them off of the field. And then your triple Impermeance, which is excellent if your opponent's going first and you're going second. You have this card in hand, you can play this directly out of the hand so that you can negate monster effects. And then if you actually set this card and then activate it, any card, spell or trap card in its column, its effect is also negated once you can target a monster on your opponent's side of the field and negate its effect. So I recommend this card playing at 3 because it gives you that versatility even if you're going second, along with the Veiler, Blossom, and Ogre. That's 6, 7, 8, 9. That's almost a quarter of your deck that can respond to your opponent's first turn board, which is excellent. And if your deck build can actually handle it, you can actually put in 2 more DD Crow so that you can make the count 11 and go over. Or if you know that your opponent is actually link summoning, or deck is a heavy link based deck, or I'm sure that when I do get down into hosting tournaments, that link based plays are going to come up for sure. You can then main deck the Phantasme at 2 to make your 11. Or like I said, if your deck can handle it, you can go up to 13 with 2 Crows and a Phantasme. And then your alternate options that you want in your side deck, you want your Kaijus, at least 4 Kaijus in your side deck. You can go up to 6 if you want. You want at least 2 Nibiru's inside your side deck. And the reason why you only want 2 is because if your opponent opens up with their board and Nibiru is not in your opening hand, you don't want to draw him afterwards, because this effect is like dead after that. Like, you want to open with him, and one of the most consistent ways is 2, and you don't honestly want to run 3, because like if you open with 2 or more, you activate one's effect, the other 2 are like basically dead, and you want to avoid that. So you just would want to go with 2, and then probably use a mill effect, something like Twin Twisters, to pitch the other one to the graveyard, and then monster reborn it back. Summon a monk. This is how you make excellent use of your additional spell cards, such as your triple copy of Dark Ruler No More. So if you pick up 2 or more copies, you can play 1 copy to negate the monster effects on the field. Then you can go off with Summon a Monk to ditch the second copy, and if you can get any level 4 monster from your deck, you can then go in Anaconda and then make your tech play. You want 3 copies of the Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere mode, and I do recommend this over the Nibiru. The reason is, if you don't open with the Sphere mode and then you open up and draw on your 6 card with the Sphere mode, his effect is going to be live once your opponent has 3 or more monsters on board, and you can then just tribute them away. With the Nibiru, it's a bit more technical, because your opponent has to summon at least 5 times. So if your opponent only summons 4 times, then Nibiru's effect isn't going to go off. And on top of that, if you don't open with the Nibiru and your opponent does make the board, drawing the Nibiru after that is useless to you. So that's why I only recommend 2 Nibiru and 3 Sphere mode. For your spell and trap card destruction alternate cards, you can, if you don't have the resources to discard pending on the build you're playing, you can swap out to Galaxy Cyclone, because it has a dual effect, being able to target set cards and then banishing it from the graveyard to destroy face up spell and trap cards, as well as MST. I prefer the use of MST because it's a quick play, and like I showed you guys with the Analyst of the Meta, the speed of the game has increased, so you want your spell and trap card destruction speed to either match that or exceed that, and the best way is either Twin Twisters or MST. You can use regular Twisters, but it doesn't work on face down cards. It only works on face up spell and trap cards. Then you would want for your Kaijus at least a double copy of Interrupted Slumber, so you can nuke the board and then add another Kaiju from your deck to your hand. You can run 2 Super Polys if your deck does focus on fusion summoning plays, or if you feel you have enough Summoner Monks in your main deck, such as 2 or 3 copies, then you can just pitch off your extra version, your extra copy of Super Poly and get another level 4, go in Anaconda and still do the same play. Imperial Order is another card that you can have in your side deck. I would recommend that you main decking this, simply because if you do open with this, it's excellent. Being able to cut off your opponent's spell play, like I told you with the meta and most deck builds, they're heavy monster and spell play, so there's nothing like opening up, making all of your plays, setting your Impermeance, and then going off with an Imperial Order to stop all of your opponent's spell card plays on the spot. Now the only negates you would actually have to make is fire monster effects, and you have Veil and Impermeance to actually cover that route. Also, it would be good if you summon a monster with an actual negate, so that if they do attempt to pop the Impermeance with a monster effect or something like that, you can negate it, because they won't be able to use spell cards. Or if they try to use a trap card to negate or pop it, you can negate that and keep the Imperial Order in play. So now they would have to rely on their monster effects. And if you can also combo the Imperial Order with a skill drain, it's going to leave your opponent in a devastating state, as their monster effects and their spell plays are now just being shut out, unless the effects are like coming from the graveyard, or if they can't find the monster to like beat over what you have on board, they are going to be in a lose-lose situation. Also, another side deck card that you can main deck And the reason why I would require it to main deck is because of triple Impermeance. You don't want to get hit with Impermeance. You want to be able to have an O2 Impermeance for the entire duration of your turn so that your combos can go off. You don't have to main deck it. That's why I don't have it in the main deck. But I have it in the side deck. If you want to play it, you can play it. Also, you have your Utopia package, which is excellent for OTKing your opponent. Easy to make, any 2 level 4s. Like I said, with Summon the Monk, another level 4. Utopia double fetches you your double or nothing. You go into your regular Utopia, he's going to be 5k. You attack, negate his attack, he goes to 10k. If that doesn't OTK your opponent, and you have a normal rank up magic spell card in hand, you can go into Utopic Zexal. The moment your opponent turn starts, you activate his effect. Your opponent will then be unable to activate cards or effects for that entire turn. So you're going to stop your opponent from playing Yu-Gi-Oh during their entire turn, which is going to hurt. The most they probably will be able to do is probably set a card, set a monster, and then you go off playing Yu-Gi-Oh on your turn, which would eventually win you the duel. Yeah, and that's the base that you can use. This already covers 18 cards, so you only need to put in 22 cards in the main deck and another 12 in your extra deck. If you're playing the Utopia package, then you'd only need another 9 cards in your extra deck to complete it, and like I said, another 22 in the main deck, and that would complete your deck. And that would be it for this video. So if you guys like, make sure you beat down that like button, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell, and be the first to immerse yourself in an unrivaled wealth of Yu-Gi-Oh wisdom. And just for you all, because I had someone asked if I had videos for beginners, I do have videos from my beginner to master level dueling guide for beginners, intermediate players, advanced players, and master players alike. If you haven't watched it, I recommend that you watch it. It would change the way that you see dueling forever. I would leave the link in the description to that below. Also, I would actually leave the link to the deck building video in the description below, so you guys can see how I used random cards, threw them in the deck, went online, duel live, and how effective it was against the meta. Just to give you guys an example, I will leave that link directly in the description below. So if you guys haven't watched it, I recommend that you watch it. Like, share, subscribe, and until next time, guys, later.